Welcome to the inaugural George Manz Coins podcast. I'm Terry Massey. I'll be hosting with George. We're going to go through a bit of coin history, his history as a coin collector, upcoming events, and other interesting things in the numismatic world. Welcome today, George.
Thank you, Terry.
So today we wanted to talk about Canadian chartered banknotes.
Yes.
What are Canadian chartered banknotes?
Well, chartered banknotes are notes that are issued by banks which have been received a charter either from the Canadian Parliament or a Canadian province. The first chartered banks that issued notes was the Canada Bank in 1792 in Montreal. Since then, other banks have received charters, and that's basically what they do. And we used chartered banknotes up until 1935, when the Bank of Canada was established, and it made it legal, it made it illegal for banks to issue any more notes, which then became the purview of the Bank of Canada.
Okay.
So there have been a small number of chartered bank notes that were issued after 1935, mostly in 1938, but the very last chartered bank issued was in 1943 by the Royal Bank of Canada on a $5 note. That's the very last chartered bank note issued.
So pretty valuable, I guess.
Not particularly, no.
Is it pretty common to still have that one around?
Yes, I've sold them.
Okay.
For $100 or $200, you can have a crappy one.
A crappy one. What is a proof note?
Okay, a proof note is basically an example of what a real note will look like. So, for example, I'll just show you. This is a working proof note whereby the company that issues, that prints the notes, they have to come up with a design. So they make a design like this, and then they show it to each other and say, well, what do you think, and what do you think?
So
and
like a print design, basically,
and then they show it to the bank that's actually going to issue it, and then they write back their, they want the color changed, they want a different thing in here, they want this changed, or whatever they want changed, and they often have all sorts of different writing on them, and sometimes they don't.
Okay. So what kind of effort would it have taken them to put? It looks like it's very, we're in the world of laser printers and inkjet printers. That looks like it's a very complicated process to even generate one of those, because they should also be, when they generate them, they have to also be counterfeit proof as well. So it looks like they took a lot of time and a lot of effort even just to generate the one for them.
For sure.
And there are different, you brought some along to show today that of some different proof notes with you from different banks.
Right.
So, what do we have today?
Okay, so the first one is from the Bank of Nova Scotia.
Okay.
It was founded in Halifax in 1832, and it slowly started to make more branches in cities other than Halifax in eastern Canada. It was the first Canadian bank that had a branch outside of Canada.
Where was that?
I don't know the answer to that. I have. Okay. This one is from 1930, from Kingston, Jamaica. So it was. It's an interesting note because it's issued from another country by a Canadian bank, and it's in British denominations rather than Canadian dollars. It's in pound sterling, which is what the Caribbean used, because they traded mostly with England, for example. So they would use their own currency rather than a Canadian currency.
Okay. These are
so
beautiful.
This is the front, and this is the front.
Just with the shading and the colors, it's absolutely beautiful. Even at this age,
to me, it looks like these rays are like from the sun.
Yeah, it looks like a sunrise or a sunset, depending on however you're inclined to look at it. So, and you also have something from the Bank of Saskatchewan.
Certainly, I do. The Bank of Saskatchewan was. The Bank of Saskatchewan was started in 1912 in the city of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and they got a charter, and they decided that they were going to issue some notes, but they sold shares to people who lived in Moose Jaw and around there, and there was a depression going on, and sales didn't go very well. So when Canada entered World War I in August 1914, the bank simply shut its doors, and they never actually issued any notes.
Okay.
But they made proof notes, and what these are called tin type proofs. So they are basically a photograph of the printing plate, and these are mirror images. So if you want to see what it looks like in real life, you have to put these in front of a mirror, and then you can see exactly what it looks like. And these are examples of how they would have looked like.
The final printed proof
Yes,
would have
but
looked
they're
like.
not real.
Yeah, no, and even with these, just the shading too, with the printing techniques, because
Yeah.
printing in those days is just
And
a
here's I have the 20s in a different place, but that's what the $20, and it's a train going through a city, supposedly Moose Jaw, that they hoped Moose Jaw would eventually, have big buildings and
looks
things
like it could be
that.
the original grain elevators in Moose Jaw.
Maybe.
Along where the train station is, that could be the original. It looks like that one. If you've ever been to Moose Jaw, they've got the one old grain elevator on the west side. It looks like that a little bit. So it's beautiful. And then you have, staying in Saskatchewan, the Weyburn Security Bank.
Yes, the Weyburn Security Bank started in, I believe, 1910 in Weyburn, Saskatchewan. It had branches in different parts of southern Saskatchewan, and it had a difficult time competing with the larger, the larger Big Five banks. And so in 1931, they merged with the Imperial Bank of Canada.
Okay, so the common today is now just simply
Which
CIBC.
eventually became the Canadian Imperial Bank of Canada when it merged with another bank. So these are five working proofs in two of the three denominations. There are fewer than 100 of all three notes. There are fewer
wow.
than 100 known to exist in the whole world. So they are quite
Very, very rare.
And these are proofs, there's even fewer of that.
Yeah, no, and then they're amazing, just the detail with the handwriting, and you can see the notes that they have all throughout them.
And here you can
and
see
the dating too.
the Weyburn fella. So they used,
Glue
glue.
Yeah.
It's not like you do everything with a computer now.
This is spectacular, even just the dates. In different colored handwriting, you can tell who's doing the different editing with
Right.
it. With the pencil, different colored pens and stuff like that. So
Yeah. And there's stuff on the back of
the back with the dates to see probably when they were received.
Yeah, when they were
had been
sent
processed.
when they were sent from the United States, for example, to Canada.
There's even a custom stamp on this one.
Yeah.
So, and now we have something, we're going to get out of Saskatchewan now.
Yeah.
You have something from the
Yeah.
Bank of British Columbia.
Yeah, I'll take them and let's put all this together here. And I'll take these and these. Okay. So this is the Bank of British Columbia. It was chartered in 1862 in Victoria, British Columbia. It merged with the Canadian Bank of Commerce in 1901. These notes here are proofs from 1894. All Bank of British Columbia issued notes are extremely rare and extremely expensive.
Why are they so rare?
Because there's hardly any of them that survive.
That has survived. And the numbering here, is this just to let it know what it is in the series?
I don't know why they put that on there. They just, so there's one with and one without.
And then there's not as much detail as there was in the Bank of Weyburn notes with all of the...
Earlier. It's also an earlier issue, so.
Yeah. So it's beautiful, and even just the shading and everything like that.
So here's Britannia, for example.
Yeah, and then even you can see again an attention. This is even still part of the modern day
Right.
flag of British Columbia with the
Right. This is a different bank.
Oh, okay,
This is
sorry.
British Columbia.
I'm still in British Columbia
Yeah.
over here. I'm
Yeah.
looking, yeah, but even here they have that that same word mark I was pointing to with an upcoming bank that just, we're going to get to the Dominion Bank
Yeah,
next.
the next
Okay.
one's the Dominion Bank. And I have,
What's the history behind the Dominion Bank?
well, the Dominion Bank was founded in 1869 in Toronto, and in 1955 it amalgamated with the Bank of Toronto to become the Toronto Dominion Bank, which we now call the TD Bank. And there's $20 notes, the face and back, and there's a 50, again, face and back with the beautiful, this is what Canada looked like, and obviously they didn't have Newfoundland in there because
There was no Newfoundland until 49.
49, yeah.
And then even with people can't see it with the video and even the overhead shot that we provide, but there's still the raised print, and
Yeah.
there is a great texture to these that you can still feel,
Yeah.
that you don't even feel in today's money. Like today's money is missing the texture
Yeah,
it used to
it's
have.
plastic.
Because of the plastic money, and it's hard to get that with the modern printing, but these are beautiful. So, and yeah, it's interesting that it's the predecessor for what now is TD Canada Trust, and
Right.
originally the merger before that of, Toronto Dominion to, it was the Dominion Bank.
Right.
Now, what's the next bank that you have
Okay.
for us? Thanks for
Bank
proofs.
is the Bank of Hamilton. It was founded in 1872 in Hamilton, Ontario. It amalgamated with the Bank of Commerce in 1923, but before that, on its 50th anniversary of the founding of its bank, they made in 1922 notes. And so this is a proof $25 note, which is an odd denomination. Usually.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful. It has beautiful colors, and this on the back it says "Last impression, keep for permanent record."
Wow.
Obviously they did.
So it's a
because
final.
I have it.
Yeah, well, it might be the final proof then before it went
it's
to
the very
go.
last one, and they said don't ever get rid of it, and they did.
Well, yeah. And and the Bank of Hamilton merged into Canadian Bank of Commerce, which is
Canadian Bank of Commerce in 1923.
wow, beautiful. And the shading of the colors too. Like it's not just, whereas these have been more of there's different palettes of color in this one as well. So what do we have next?
Okay, our last one is the Union Bank of Canada. This is one of my favorite banks.
Why is it one of your favorite banks?
Well, it started out in Quebec in 1865 in Quebec City, so it was under a provincial charter, and the province at that, well, it wasn't even the province was called Lower Canada, and 2 years later it became Quebec. In 1912, the Union Bank of Canada moved its headquarters from Quebec City to Winnipeg, Manitoba, and this set is a complete set from $5 all the way to $100. It was issued in 1921, and again, I think that they're
They're stunning,
colors.
even like they're stunning with the colors and just the embossing and the raised print. They are, and it's, I don't even know if the video is doing them justice to show, to even, and that's the brilliance of showing them, is that we can get a better feel for video, but they're even better in person,
Right.
So, and that's, I guess, what we have for today for proof notes.
For proof notes, and we'll go on to other things later.
And you've got some events coming up. When's
Yes.
your next event coming up?
The Regina Coin Show is on October 21st and 22nd at the Turvey Center, just north of Regina.
And they can find more information on the Regina Coin Club website, which the links will be in the description for this.
Yeah.
And then what else? You have some coming up in Alberta as well.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, September 23rd or so, I'll be in Calgary for the big Calgary Coin Show, and a week later, I'll be in Medicine Hat.
Perfect. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.